On the negotiating side of things, being a master negotiator as a customer or as a salesperson doesn't get you as far as what you'd think. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the ways that I quote-unquote tricked people into buying cars. Now, hopefully this video will help you guys on two different fronts. If you're looking to being a salesperson, this will be good advice to help you out in terms of selling more cars. And then if you're looking to buy a car, right, this will kind of give you an insight into what to look for in terms of what the salesperson is doing. And yeah, with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. Now, the first thing that I would do is I would pretty much keep everything at a surface level. And this is something that I see a lot of salespeople make the mistake of, is they say way too much about themselves. It's kind of awkward, and they ask way too many probing questions to the person who's looking to buy a car, and it just lends to a really awkward buying experience overall. So I would recommend just to keep things surface level, and that's the first thing I do is I would find out just enough information to first find out if, hey, can this person afford the car, right? What do they do for a living? Do they make good money, right? And you don't want to just straight up be like, hey, do you make enough money to afford this car, right? You've got to kind of weave it into the conversation. And then I also would find out, hey, what does this person love to do? Like, what do they do in their free time? And then the reason I would find out that information was then to relate that to the vehicle later on, and I'll talk about that later in today's video. But that's the first thing, is I would keep everything surface level. And by keeping things surface level, it still shows that you care, right? You care enough to find out if a person can actually afford the car you're showing to them, which I know that some people are like, why would that matter? Why does it show that you care? Well, it shows that I care about myself to not waste my time showing someone a car they can't afford. But then I also value your time, because I'm not going to show you a car that you can't afford, right? Get your hopes up, all that kind of stuff. And I'm only going to show you cars that you can actually afford. And then the other side, right, you want to know what this person actually wants to use the vehicle for, so you can find a vehicle that fits their needs best. So the next thing that I would do is I would make everything about the car that they are buying, right? I've already pre-qualified them, made sure that they can afford the vehicle. And then again, the other thing I kind of would ask the people about is what they plan on using the vehicle for, so then I can relate their interests to the vehicle. So let's say that I'm showing someone a truck and they like to do camping. I'm going to talk about how that truck has a payload of a certain weight so they can take this much camping gear. And I'm going to talk about the suspension on the truck and how this truck has these special off-road shocks and how it's going to make the ride quality smoother on the off-road, so then they can basically have a more comfortable camping experience, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm going to take the stuff that they told me and I'm going to show them why this vehicle is going to be able to take care of their needs and do a little bit extra. And the other thing that I would do is I would show them pretty much every feature on the vehicle, focus on the stuff that I think is going to be important to that person, but show them pretty much everything, right? Because vehicles are very expensive nowadays, and if you just go and say, oh, hey, here's this vehicle, hop in and drive it, then people aren't going to really see the inherent value in that vehicle. But then if you spend 10 to 15 minutes showing them every single feature in the vehicle, then they're going to be like, oh, I understand why this truck is 40, 50, 60,000 or whatever car you're selling, right? I understand why this car is the price that it's at, because it has all these features, and all these features are going to benefit me in these ways. And so not only do they see the value in the features, they see the value in the features to themselves personally, which is very important. But yes, that was a huge focus for me, is making things about the car. I wouldn't talk about the price of the car. I wouldn't talk about the financing. I wouldn't talk about anything else. It's like, as soon as I pretty much just pre-qualified this person and found out a couple things about them, it's like, boom, let's talk about the vehicle, nothing else. And I would just be very persistent with keeping the conversation that way, right? Some people, they try, like the customers try to weave in, oh, hey, what's the MSRP on this or whatever? It's like, nope, we're not talking about that right now, right? We'll talk about that later. Let's make sure you like the vehicle first. And that was just a huge focus for me as a salesperson. And it would actually get people into the buying mode, because again, since they're so focused on the vehicle, it kind of takes them away from all the other stresses associated with purchasing a car, right? Like, hey, is this person going to take care of me, right? The salesperson, are they going to rip me off? What kind of pricing is going to be in the vehicle? Am I going to be able to get approved? All that kind of stuff, right? All those worries kind of go away, because now all they're thinking about is, wow, there's this really cool, bright, shiny truck in front of me, and it's going to be able to do these things for me, and it's going to make me look like this, right? That's all they're thinking about, and that's what you want to do as a salesperson, is just have them looking at the vehicle and worrying about nothing else other than the vehicle. Now, the next thing that I would do to quote unquote trick people into buying a car would be just to go straight to the point after the test drive. Now, there's obviously a number of different reactions. Some people would be super excited and it's just straightforward. It's like, okay, let's just get the paperwork done and I want to be off on my way. there's other people you could tell they didn't really like it, and so then at that point you just have to find them a different car. And then you'd have most people, which would just be kind of in the middle, right? They wouldn't be overly excited, but then they wouldn't exactly be like, you could tell that they wanted the car, but they didn't want to have to go through the whole process. And so what I would do with these people is I would just be straight to the point. I would say, okay, do you want to buy the car or not, right? Just, right, let's figure this out. And then if they're like, yes, I want to buy the car, or they're like, no, I don't want to buy the car, then, right, you can go from there. But typically, most of them would have an answer, something like this. They'd be like, yeah, I want to buy the car, but I feel like the price is too high, or I wish it had this option, or, there's always something that goes along with it. It's yes, but. And alongside that, there are some things that you're gonna basically want to do. So what you really want to do is you want to set this person up with the proper expectations. You want to set them up so that they know exactly what's going to be happening in the process. And that's what I would do, is just explain the process to these people. I would say, okay, what's going to happen here is we're going to go into the dealership. We're going to, if they're paying cash, I'm going to give you a cash price. If you're financing, I'm going to show you some financing options so you can find out which one works best for you, payment wise and down payment wise, all that kind of stuff. And then after we obviously come to an agreement, then at that point we're going to get the car up for delivery so it's cleaned and ready for you. And then we're going to get, if they're financing, we're going to, and that's most people, we're going to get this financing sent over to a lender for a final approval. That's going to take some time, and while that's happening, I'm going to go over the rest of the information on the vehicle with you, right? Especially if it's a new car, there's some extra stuff you have to go over. But the biggest thing is I would just explain the process to the people so they had the proper expectation coming into it, so they knew exactly pretty much how long it's going to take and what's going to happen, so they're not just sitting in the dealership wondering, what am I even waiting for? That's so many customers, and that's why a lot of people end up not buying, is they just don't know. They're like, why am I here? And then they're like, yep, okay, I'm going to go. So if you explain what's going to happen, it goes a long way. Now, on the negotiating side of things, being a master negotiator as a customer or as a salesperson doesn't get you as far as what you'd think. And again, this is kind of from the salesperson perspective. And I myself wasn't a master negotiator. What I was really good at was being honest with people. Wow, that's a novel concept, right? Being honest with people, and alongside that honesty, right, just complete transparency with everything. And so I didn't have to negotiate with most customers, because the dealership that I worked at, typically with most vehicles, how we had them priced at online was pretty much it. There wasn't, like, everything was already fully discounted. Any more discount just didn't make sense from a business perspective for the dealership. And I would just explain that to the customers. And for me, it was really easy to explain because I didn't get paid off of gross commission. I got paid off of volume commission, which just means if I sell more cars, I make more money. It doesn't matter how much I sell the cars for. And I really just played along with that. And what I would just do with these customers is I would just give them the price, and I would explain to them how we got to that price, right? Actually explain everything. And then after explaining it to them, it's just like, hey, that's it. If you like it, fine. If you don't, let's find you another vehicle that fits within your budget. Pretty straightforward. But yeah, I would just be completely honest. And I would even show people the amount of profit that the dealership was making on vehicles. I would say, here is the, I would show them, I'd be like, here's the invoice of the vehicle. Here's how much money the dealership's making off of the vehicle, right? And again, with that honesty and that transparency, it made people comfortable. And the thing that salespeople don't seem to understand is customers are okay if the dealership makes money. They understand the dealership's a business and they need to make money. And so if you show the customer, like, okay, hey, I just spent 4 hours of my time with you, and so I'm going to be getting paid well, I mean, I was on volume commission, so it's not like I got paid a percentage of the gross, but like, obviously part of that profit is going towards my paycheck, right? You have to get paid something. So it's like, hey, part of this is going to pay me, part of this is going to keep the lights on the dealership, and then obviously part of this is going towards actual profit itself. And once people actually see that and they know exactly what's happening, then they're like, okay, boom, and then they end up buying. And so yeah, that honesty and transparency goes a long way. Now we're going to move from in-person interactions to internet interactions, and then we'll pretty much just cap things off for today's video. And the reason I want to make a whole section of the video about internet interactions is most cars are sold online nowadays. Most customers come from online sources, and so you really need to know how to interact with these customers properly. Now, if there's any takeaway from this video, I would say it's going to be in this section, and it's about videos and online customers. Videos are absolutely massive. It's funny. Everyone talks about videos in the car business, but nobody does it. And obviously I've now made a career out of making videos, and that was kind of one section of what I did. There was it was a three-pronged attack for me. So what I did as a salesperson is I made the YouTube videos to reach a broader audience, and it would actually bring in customers. So that was kind of part of it, and I'm gonna make a whole video about that. That's just too long to put into this video. But the other two big things that I would do as a salesperson is I would send customers two different types of personalized videos. And this is the thing that everyone talks about in the car business, but nobody does. And when I worked in the car business, I remember at the dealership, it was constantly being talked about, and I did it from the start, and I was super consistent with it, and it helped me out a massive amount. And nobody else did it, even though they saw that I was being successful doing it. So here's what I mean by videos. Now let's talk about the two different types of videos that I would make as a salesperson. The first type of video would be an introduction to the customer, and there's a number of reasons why I did this. The first reason was just to show these people that I'm a real life human being, that you are interacting with another human. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it actually goes a long way, because most people just get template emails from salespeople when they reach out online. And yeah, maybe there's like a picture of the salesperson, but there's a huge difference between there being a picture of someone and then being able to see you actually like talk, and they can see your face and all that kind of stuff, right? And a lot of this is kind of like deeper and psychological, but again, it went a long way, because then it showed people, oh, hey, this Ben guy is real. He took the time to actually send me a personalized video, because I would say the person's name in the video, and it was funny the reactions I get from people, because they would think that the video getting sent to them was just some template, but then when they hear their name, it's like they're like, whoa, 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 and they kind of like freak out a little bit. It's kind of funny, some of the responses I got, but again, it went a long way because it was personalized, and it built trust with them, because they're like, oh wow, this Ben guy, he seems like a pretty nice person, and he went through the time to send me this personalized video. And so then it instantly differentiates me from the other salespeople. And then the other thing that actually helps out with is it kind of guarantees that customer is going to ask for me if they do show up at the dealership randomly, because they've seen a video of me. I had several times when I worked at the dealership where people would randomly show up, and then another salesperson would be working with them, and this was someone that I had been talking with, right? It happens all the time as a salesperson, and maybe I should make a video about that whole subject. But so many times where the person would be like, oh yeah, that's that guy from the video, he sent me, right? And boom, it like instantly guaranteed that that was still my customer, because they recognized me from the video. And it also kind of guaranteed that that person went to the right dealership as well, because that's something that happens all the time where customers end up at the wrong dealership. And so if they know, hey, I'm going to Ben Hardy at the Dodge store in Sandy, then and they have a face to it, if they end up at any other store, they know, okay, wait, I'm not working with someone named Ben, I'm not at a Dodge store, and I'm not in Sandy. And so they're like, oh, okay, they're like, none of this is right. And so that was a huge thing with that. Now, the other type of videos that I would send, and these would a lot of times go along with pictures, would be a video of the vehicle itself that they're looking at. And sometimes I'd kind of mix things up. So when I say mix things up is I would have the introduction video in front of the vehicle that they inquired about a lot of times. And that would be kind of like the soft intro, right? I'd be like, hey, here's me. Here's the person you're working with, and here's the car you're looking at. And then I would send them another video, and again, it's still a personalized video where it's like whoever, let's just say the person's name is John. In this example, it'd be like, hey John, here's that truck that you inquired about. And then I would just show them the features on the truck, especially if they ask certain questions like, hey, does that truck have a tow package on it? I would go to the back of the truck and be like, here's your receiver hitch, right? It seems silly, but again, it goes a long way, because it shows the person that you are putting in time and effort into showing them the vehicle. And it also builds excitement, because there's a difference between that person seeing pictures online of the vehicle, because everyone has pictures posted up of their vehicles online, and them getting a personalized video of that vehicle, because it goes from, oh, here's that truck on Auto Trader, and then here's that truck, and then here's that truck, and then here's that one, to, oh, here's that one that's at this deal, that's at the same, right, the store that I worked at was the Sandy dealership. Here's that one at the Sandy dealership, and oh, it's that one that I have the video of. And they go and like look at the video, and it just makes it seem more tangible to them. Again, this is kind of more of like a psychological thing where they're like, oh wow, this truck is like, I can see that it's physically there, and I can see all the stuff about the truck, and it kind of just builds this excitement. And then I would send unique pictures alongside of that, and just sometimes make it humorous as well. I would be like, oh hey, she's waiting here for you, like just like funny things like that. But again, these personalized videos go a long way. And I guess to summarize, From the introduction videos, it shows that you're a real life person and that you want to help that person out. And again, it just guarantees that that customer is most likely going to come to you, and that if they do randomly show up at the dealership, then they'll recognize you, which is very important. And then the walk around videos, again, will show that you actually care, you're putting in time and effort to selling this person a car. And then on top of that, it'll build more excitement, because if they're looking at millions of different vehicles and they're looking at a bunch of different pictures of those vehicles, right, what are you going to do to differentiate your vehicle versus someone else's? If they have this whole walk around video, yours feels more tangible, so then they're more likely to kind of want that vehicle, and they'll kind of be able to see themselves with it just a little bit more. So now, in summary, let's kind of take away some key points from today's video, things that I would, I guess, embody if you are looking to be a salesperson. And then if you're a customer, here's some things that I would recommend to look for in the salesperson. Now, obviously, the most obvious is honesty and transparency. If you're a salesperson, just don't lie. There is no use in lying, and that's just like a life lesson. Like, just don't lie. It's stupid. And as a customer, obviously, you want to look for that. Someone who's going to be transparent with you. And I feel like as a salesperson, the more information that you show the customer, the more it shows that you are willing to be transparent. And it goes alongside all the stuff that I talked about. Showing the customer everything in the vehicle, right? I'm not hiding anything about this vehicle. I'm showing them everything, right? If you notice, everything I talked about was showing people as much information as possible. When I'm talking about negotiating prices on a car, I'm showing them everything associated with the price, right? How much money the dealership paid for the car, how much money the dealership put, if it's a used car, how much money the dealership put into reconditioning the car. Like, again, you show them everything on it. And then with the online stuff, with the videos, showing them myself, right? Taking a video of myself and then doing a walk around the car, showing them the car. The more stuff that you show people, the more that you show that you're honest and transparent, because again, you have nothing to hide. And so that would be my biggest kind of lesson, and I hope that's the biggest takeaway you guys get from today's video, is just how far that transparency goes. And the more you show them, the better things will be. Now, that's going to sum things up for today's video in terms of my quote-unquote tricks to get people to buy cars. And as always, if you feel like my videos are of intrinsic value to you, then I'd really appreciate your support over on Patreon. I've got a link in the description down below. But as always, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and then I'll see all of you in that next video.